Right. Next feature to showcase is going to be runes. So the first half of sort of the magical systems of the pack. Now, these revolve around the use of this multi-block structure, which we placed last time, which is the Enchanter's Crucible, but we also need the grinding station that was set up also last time? Or was it the time before? No, I think it was last time, right? So starting off, we need some special paper, which means you'll have to go glow squid hunting, right? So if we take a piece of glow squid ink and some paper, grind them together, we get some infused paper, which is basically the catalyst item for all our rune crafting dreams, right? So then we can come back over to the Enchanter's Crucible, and there's a few different ways to actually make runes. The easiest way is using some paper, some enchant ash, and some knowledge fragment. And there you go, a random rune will pop out, right? So for instance, we've got inscribed paper with explode and greater rune, and of course it's one that I don't particularly want to show right up here. So we'll grab the item frames and we'll come down here and we'll go over what exactly explode does. So if we put down some item frames, right? We've got a glow item frame and a normal item frame. We'll put the rune in both, right? And then nice and simple, if I drop an item onto this one, nothing happens. This is set to only detect players, right? If anything in a glow item frame will only trigger when a player walks over it, but a normal item frame will trigger when any entity walks over it, right? So just to make sure you believe me, right? Glow item frame, player, explode. Nice and simple. And it will consume the rune, although, did it when I did it this way? Ooh. No, it did, because I threw the rune. Right, yeah, okay. Does consume the rune. Good, you can't duplicate. Yeah. So that's explode. That is one of many runes. Now, another thing that I probably should do is, like usual, clear my luck, because luck does impact the crafting, right? So, for instance, we got a greater rune from crafting. Now, if we have no luck, and we use some infused paper, right? Enchanted ash, knowledge fragments, it will make a normal rune, right? Rather than greater. So, again, like many things in the pack, depending on your luck score, right? Which is either gained just through luck or equipment, you will have better odds at doing certain things. In this case, crafting better runes. So now we got spring, but it's in a lesser rune. So it's still the same principle, but it's just a reduced effect, right? So again, item frame, anyone can trigger it, right? Us. A normal item frame, you or anyone can trigger it, any entity, right? So there's no entity blacklist. So you can use these as traps, right? So any entity that walks over it, or in this case spawns on it, will trigger the rune and get the effect. In this case, spring, which does do some falling damage, because it is, well, a spring. We're done with you. So try and navigate him through this little gap. Thank you. Perfect. So now we can also craft runes in a specific way, right? If we go back to the advancements, we can go to the magic section, and if we find rune crafting, which is down here, we have a whole bunch of catalyst items. So for instance, for warp, right? Catalyst item is an ender eye. So if we take an ender eye and use that with the infused paper instead of these two ingredients, we can create a specific rune, right? And you will unlock these recipes as you generate the random runes, or you buy them from the Nexus, right? So you can either memorize them from that little screenshot, right, that I just showed up, or play through the pack, get your random runes, and eventually you'll find the ones you want. Now, the other caveat is you do have to basically imbue it with experience, and the best way I found to force the player to do that is through naming, right? Because naming does cost experience. So if we name this to Warp, costs 1 experience, nice and cheap. You can grab it out. I probably should have, well, I can rename the paper anyway. So you need a catalyst item, in case Ender Eye. You also need a piece of paper named with whatever rune you're trying to make, right? So for instance, for this one, Spring, we'd have to name the piece of paper Spring. But since we have named it Warp, and you know what, just again, drive the point home, we will make some more paper, which I should have done. It was normal paper as well. And that way we can compare, right? We don't need this rune anymore either. So again, drop them on the grinding station, they get grinded up. You can drop the whole stack, and it will process all the items if they land properly. Try that again. One, and that didn't land again. Why does the second one land? I hate the randomness sometimes. What is it, Control Q to throw it all out? Yeah, there we go. All right, so it is grinding away and creating all the paper. We can leave it be as it processes everything. But yeah, so if we have an unnamed piece of paper and an ender eye, nothing happens, right? And then if we throw in the actual named piece of paper, there we go. We get a warp rune. But again, it is lesser. Using the specific crafting mechanism, you'll always generate the lesser version of runes, but you can upgrade them using world fragments enchantment. And all these resources, you will find you will accumulate them naturally through the pack as you just play Minecraft. So don't worry about having to go out of your way to farm them or do anything like that. But if we make a copy of this, and we drop it into the Crucible along with a world fragment. They should... Is it a stack of world fragments? Let me double check. One world fragment and any rune. No, it should work. But it's not. Ooh, problem. I will look into that one, but we'll go over what warp does for now. So warp, you need 2 of them to actually do anything. So it should be pretty self-explanatory, but you get warped to the other one. It does get consumed, right? So essentially it's a one-way teleporter, because you'll have to have some sort of way to replace it into the item frame after you've used it. But it will always target the closest... Actually, I should probably just test it before I do anything. So for instance, 3-way, right, we go to the middle, nearest. Always targets the nearest, and then this goes to the next one. And again, because it's in a Klloo item frame, it'll only target a player. A item frame is separate, so a normal item frame will never teleport you to a Klloo item frame, but you can transport anything you want, right? So, for instance, items. You can use this as a way to teleport items in a large distance of loaded chunks. That's the best way to explain it, right? So there are ways to chunk load in this through other means, but yeah. The greater warp will, instead of targeting just one thing, if I could show it off, will target a area. Oh, worked that time. Did I drop the wrong thing? Maybe I dropped the wrong thing. But so for instance, if we have a greater rune, and we will swap these out, right? And then we will throw just a bunch of items all around, and then hopefully before I pick them up, right? Okay. Hopefully, that didn't really showcase the point. How can I do this? I need to not pick them up, but there's one piece, right? Put that there. Put that there. I'll walk on this, and I don't know if you could see it move with us. Trust me, you know what? Actually, entities. I can't pick up a sheep, right? So we'll take a sheep with us. So if we have a sheep nearby, oh, as I walk on the Klloo item frame, put that in. Ta-da! The sheep comes with you. So you can also now transport entities in mass over a large distance. So if the sheep walked on a normal one by itself, it would still teleport over, right? Did I put the right one down? Ah, this doesn't have the right one. You have to get off and back on in order for this to work now. There we go. All right. But this will transport a mass of sheeps, right? So we'll do that. We'll spawn a bunch around, and then put one on the block. And there you go. It took a bunch of them with them. It still has a range, right? A little cross is probably what you think of it. It actually might be a 3x3. It's been a while since I actually made them, but yeah. Let me just help the sheeps move along, right? Type equals sheep. Yeah, perfect. Right, so there are many runes. We've literally shown off 3. How many runes are there, you might ask? Well, it is not as many as the poisons for the wax brewing, but there is 6, there's 24 different runes, right? And then you can upgrade them. But there is one more way as well to utilize the runes. So if you make your way over to the hub dimension, which is called the Enchanter's Nexus, what you can pick up is a blank rune scroll, right? And it's capable of absorbing the power of runes. So to activate it, you need an enchanted droplet, which is something else you'll get in the Nexus. We can drop them both in, and we get ourselves a charged scroll, which we will pick up at some point, right? So now it looks fancy, looks enchanted. So we have charged rune scroll, which is attuned to target yourself. Left click to change attunement, and right click to activate greater runes. So it runs off of greater runes, right? But a warp is not the best one to showcase. What we will do is turn our luck back on, and I'll just make a bunch of random runes so we can see. God, effect give. I always think it's like potion or something like that. Us, luck, infinite, 99, and I don't want particles. So yeah, we'll create a bunch of runes. Luckily, we have paper being made over here. Thank God. Didn't quite get through the stack, but that's fine. In fact, I guess it stopped processing. I forget what the entity parameters are, right? They'll load if a chunk's loaded, but they won't actually do anything unless, you know, you're a certain range. But we can drop that, and that, and get a random rune, and that random rune is going to be, what should be warp? It's not warp, because freeze, because the pitch is different. So we have tune to target ourselves, right? So we'll make a stack, make it easier, and we will try to clean up a little bit as our story gets more and more chaotic. But with this in hand, if we, what was it? Right click, we freeze ourselves. It's nice and simple, it's just a thing of powdered snow. But if we change it, which I did in my panic, it's now attuned to target you and everything nearby. Click it again, it'll change color, and then we have attuned to target everything around you, and then back to us, and the one we skipped was attuned to target in front of you. So this is anywhere we're looking, right? It will consume the rune every time, even if we can't actually target something, but we'll use sheep as guinea pigs, right? That was... Nope, there we go. Great. Right, so you have to be clicking on it. Granted, obviously it's already frozen. And obviously, depending on the runes, it will use all the runes in your inventory. That's another thing to probably mention. So if you have a bunch of different ones, you can create fun, powerful combinations, right? In fact, why don't we just do that? We will make a few more before we end off, right? Just chuck that in, chuck that in, chuck that in, and it should craft just a whole bunch for us. We have a few seconds to process some items. That'll do. Right, so we have a bunch of different runes now. Oh, as I struggle to pick up everything. So if we change this to, we don't want to target ourselves. We'll go one more. That is target everything around you. Perfect. Summon a bunch of sheep again. And mayhem. Interesting. Some are affected. Not everything got affected by the same thing, interestingly. Oh. Ah, it might still be where I'm facing, apparently. Stuff is going on. No, it works. Ah, we're out of runes. And the rune scroll degrades. Yeah, it will burn out eventually. They're somewhat cheap to acquire from the Nexus. And yeah, the activation is just one of those little droplets. So you can definitely have fun with it. And I just want to be, well, actually, no, I didn't think of it. Who did think of it? If we go to Research and Relic, it's been a little while. They brought it up ages ago, and I've only just gone around to actually implementing it. I had the art done for a while. There we go. Jeju. It was their idea to create a blend of magic system, right? Because we have another way to cast actual spells, which we will get to at some point, right? But they wanted some way with the runes, and so this was the creation, an actual rune scroll that allows you to use the runes in a more combat-orientated sense, right? Being able to click. So yeah, there we go. The many ways to utilize runes. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.